sameness. Lisa McFarland, what comes up for you when you think about sameness?
Sameness makes me smile because I think the idea that we're not the same is not true. I think it's um, a powerful way to divide us from the world at large, from people, from things, and because we have very unique experiences as we're developing and when we're young, we have a tendency to think that there are a lot of things that are different about us. I think a lot in our culture too, we tend to focus on this, I'm unique, I'm special, I'm me, these things. And the truth is, our sameness is is it's the life force, it's the thing that connects us,
Yeah.
and it kind of underpins everything else. So I'm glad and relieved to know that there are a lot of things, way more things that connect us than separate us. And um, I also see our differences as being a way to exploit our human nature in a way that doesn't serve us.
Yeah. And then the flip on that is like sameness. We're all from the same puzzle, and we are a puzzle piece of that puzzle. And like, for lack of better words, we need each other to complete the puzzle. Each puzzle piece is seriously important to completing the whole puzzle. And so what you authentically bring
Mm.
is what others need to feel complete in a way, just it's more of the side of, oh well, like, what do I have to offer? And it's like, you're unique, you're very important to, completing the puzzle. And yet it's the puzzle that we're all from that same puzzle. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. And the other thing that's coming up is like, it's not just that when you're using this analogy of a puzzle, that it's not just nice that we should try to play well together because we're from the same puzzle.
Right.
It's that when we allow ourselves to be part of that puzzle and don't guard against it out of fear or not wanting to be different or, trying to mold ourselves into everyone else,
Yeah.
we when we don't allow that, we necessarily prevent an environment from arising where we can most flourish and become the wholeness of who we're created to be, because that's different for, I think of flowers in a garden when I'm thinking about this, because everything that blooms, like, you can't say that a rose, and I'm not even like a big rose fan, but like, you can't say that a rose is more beautiful than a lily. It's who's looking at it. It's what can they smell? What colors do they like? It has everything to do with the puzzle that we're part of. So being able to recognize and engage with this idea that we are more the same than anything else, then we invite that environment to open up for us. And we do that for others as well. It's a very reciprocal thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are from the same puzzle, and fighting it and trying not to be part of that puzzle is a fast path to a very stressful existence.
Yeah. So just feeling into what connects us. And like you said, the flowers, each flower has its own, well, a smell, right? And each flower has its own essence, how you feel around that flower. So,
It's not a zero-sum game. It's not like there's a best and a worst.
yes,
And
right.
we're the same, we're not trying, we don't, the idea of competing for some coveted number one spot, it really kind of misses what we can gather and develop along the way if
Yeah.
we're all just progressing rather than competing.
Yeah, and it's not good, it's not bad, it just is. And now you've stepped out of duality into non-duality, and it's in non-duality that we feel our sameness, that we can really connect with each other's essence, if you will. So yeah, that's
Mhm.
huge.
And we feel safe. And that's where the more we, feel this level of sameness, not on a personality level, not on a preferences level, those things are real, but when we feel the safety of sameness and connection, then we aren't so scared to say, "Oh, you don't like that song? I love that song." Or, "Oh, you know, I didn't think, I'll give you a quick example. And just all my upbringing, I always was an empathic person. I cried when kids got bullied.
Yeah.
I felt guilty that I had, resources in my life. Um, and it's taking me, I'm 55 now, and it's taking me really into my 50s to start looking at empathy as a strength.
Ah,
I mean, I always felt, and particularly like in the corporate world and in this sort of competitive, because I also have a very competitive nature, but
yeah.
I'm very empathic. And it wasn't until I realized I should stop trying to hide my empathy. I had a boss of mine, very near close to the time that I resigned from the corporate environment, not knowing what kind of work or what I was going to do at that time, 4 or 5 years ago. My boss had said, "I need you to take off your empath hat and put on your CEO hat." And I thought, gosh, do I have to, can I do both?
Yeah, exactly,
Um,
right? Oh, that's
but,
weird.
and the answer is that in that environment, no, because profit is the king of the day.
Or
And
whatever.
when profit is the king of the day, empathy is not rewarded. So now in the environment where I'm having, self-publish my first book, creating a
Yeah.
community for people to connect and heal from different things, doing a lot of writing, these kinds of events, leading meditation, those types of things were only able to come out of me because once I realized that empathy was something I was gifted, not something I was cursed with,
Right?
then I could allow things to grow out of that place instead of always trying to be a little bit smaller so that I, didn't get called out for being sensitive or bleeding heart liberal or what all the different ways I've been categorized, which I don't fit into really any of those.
Yeah.
Um, but the safety that comes from the security that comes, not really safety, but the security that comes from the same experiencing our sameness together is what allows us to bloom into these magnificent flowers that we all have the potential to do.